Yeah.
And because these sessions, these conversations, they're very, they're very far-reaching. Even though we call it seasons, because everything in life goes through seasons. Even leadership has its seasons. We have different seasons of leadership, in Nigeria. But just to draw on that, my question would be, something I said to someone, our leaders don't fall, not lead and start to talk about, because today's followers are tomorrow's leaders,
That's right.
And I remember one of the Barack Obama, we talked about leaders, and they still stumble, they still fall, they still falter. Let's talk about those for it. Time for us to, you know, put in the focus a bit on the followers and start teaching people, because today's followers, mind shift, it's about mindset shift, about mindset transformation. So, what do you think about that in terms of seeds of leadership? How you need to, maybe shift from leaders, to followers, to tomorrow's leaders. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Very very apt question, and to a degree, I kind of agree with you enough. But for me, when we look at the trajectory of the people that have taken on the arms of leadership over the years, I feel and I believe that the process itself that brings the involvement of whoever takes on the arms of affairs of leadership, I feel that the process in itself is not tidy enough. Because yes, we switch to followers, and the truth of the matter is we have followers that believe that they are prime, that they are ready, that they can assume the place of leadership, that they can get there, effect a change. And what we have seen and where our discourse should be is that, like someone was also saying to me the other time, that, you have these excellent ideas, you have this passion, you are driven for change, you want there to be change. But the person was saying that, I can guarantee you, and I say to the person that maybe don't use that word guarantee, because you don't know what I'll do if I should have that opportunity. So what we were saying is that even some of these followers that end up to be leaders, they get there and it seems as if they completely change. That, but that's not the person that we know. That's not the passion that person had. That person used to be an advocate for workers, was championing the cause of workers and less privileged people, and that same person got to the arms of affairs and completely changed. So the question is, how do we keep people accountable? And all of this has to be in the system that we have built and we are still building. Because people get there and nobody is accountable for their stewardship. So people can get away with anything, people can do anything, and nobody holds anybody accountable, and the precedents continue to be there. So we can have a school of followership. And we groom people to be followers, and we groom them to be potential leaders. And then the issue is they get in there and they completely change. Their language changed. Somebody told me, is a party norm, is the party language. It's the it's the people that are surrounding them, and I have heard all sorts. And so I think for me it would be, should we begin to also look at a system of accountability? That we do not seem to have that enough, that nobody holds anybody to account. In developed countries, people error, and the next thing we hear the next day, so and so person has resigned of their own volition. Nobody asked them to, nobody forced them to. There is the uproar, which usually will happen, has not even started. But we hear, oh, that person has resigned to the echelon of the highest places in leadership in developed countries. How come we don't have that? We have insecurity, people are dying every day, and then they will tell us that, oh, the people that are there are not going to resign, they're still going to be there. It doesn't make any sense. So it's still down to the system that we have built and the structures that we have. That, I mean, the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive, there is no form of accountability whatsoever. So we have a judiciary that is completely biased to whoever it seems to be in power. Hey, how are we going to have an headway? How are we going to move on? So for me, that is still where the problem is. You know, whoever is in the place of the party that is in rulership seems to have the power over all things, from every other thing, from the judiciary to the armed forces. I mean, I read something today that I was cringing. I was cringing that the person that is at the top of the leadership of the country was saying that, you know what, we have the armed forces at our disposal. You know, we could have used them against you. And I'm like, in this day and age?
Wow.
I mean, we have compound problems that only God can help us out. So that's my take. Excuse my passion.
I mean, someone says no self-respect. I completely agree with that in the comments. You say it's no self-respect, because leadership again is about self-respect. Have enough respect for yourself as an individual.
That's right.
A conscious one. The Beirut explosion that happened last week. I understand the government has resigned. They've dissolved that government.
That is,
I think that's supposed to speak to what she says about self-respect, because they're respectful of their personality enough to say, you know what?
Yeah,
I've failed in my responsibility. And therefore, I do not deserve to continue in this position. And then there's another question. I think we can, if you don't mind, maybe let's just address this question as they're coming up. Someone says that, what can we do to tackle the issues of bad leadership, sir? So I know you mentioned one thing. You said that, there's a systemic problem that we have in place. The systems that we have, lack of accountability, lack that sense of responsibility, So for that reason, people, if you're not accountable to anyone and you don't have a sense of responsibility, naturally. So apart from that, someone is asking, how can we tackle these issues of bad leadership?
Good. My answer still draws from what I've just said. I mean, I want to thank the person that asked that question, because sincerely, that is still that's the major issue that is at hand. It's still, for me, can argue it out. We can have a 10-hour session, and I will draw my point. That is still down to leadership. So how can we tackle the problem of leadership? Think with me for a moment. Like you've just said, the person that was at the helm of affairs in Beirut said, you know what, I do not deserve to be in this position. I have flunked. I have let people down. I say this to people, when this passion started rising years ago, obviously it's also, perhaps there's a bit of it in the bloodline. I say that the people that have opportunities to serve in leadership in our country, they do not understand one word, not many words, but one particular word for me, and that word is representation. They do not appreciate the fact that we are representing a people. We got there on the premise of representing this ward, this constituency, this state. I got there because I'm representing these people. So they get there and they seem to completely forget the fact that I cannot be here if not because some people voted for me to be here. It's a different ballgame. An elective office is completely a different office to an executive office or a merited office. A voted office is an office of representation. And so people need to be accountable always to the people that put them there. So we will tackle this problem of leadership. Number one, I was discussing it with some people on Tuesday, on Saturday rather, that when we have a major issue with voter illiteracy also in the country, the people that vote for these people are not more so the elite. They are not more so the educated youth. And the people that sacrifice, that stay there in the sun, that wait for hours to vote, are people that have been indoctrinated that it has to be this party or that party. They don't know who the person is. They don't know if the person is capable. They've never had the person discuss governance. They've never had the person discuss economy. And they just put, oh, that party, that's the person. Somebody from somewhere points that person to their direction and points that logo to their direction, and they go and vote for that person. And their well-being is at stake. Their well-being, the infrastructure is at stake. The roads is at stake. Education is at stake. They do not know. So they just put these people and they completely forget them. So we need to begin to address the issue of accountability. Let people begin to, let there be a complete shift. Aside from swearing people in, there has to be a pre-assumption of, assuming office, if you like. A preschool
like
where
an orientation,
exactly. There has to be. If they ask me to prescribe something, I will prescribe an orientation school before anybody gets into office. And in that place, aside from swearing them in, there has to be some other documentation that you have to sign. You mess up, you are gone.
Out.
You do not do what you're supposed to do. You can't. You are, in fact, you're on probation.
Probation, absolutely. You
do not do what you're supposed to do. You are out. So, but people do whatever they like, and nobody calls them to order. Nobody calls anybody to order. Everybody just become a god of themselves. They swear by their title. They swear by their name. It's shambolic. It's disgraceful. What happens on the governance, in our country is just shambolic and it's disgraceful. For want of using any other word, I think we should know that our past leaders have failed. Yes, they have failed. They have failed. And I think we should raise our children to be leaders. Yes, we have our work cut out for us. But these same children, sir, the person that wrote that, these same children that we need to raise to be leaders, we are the country where the percentage of the budget that goes to education is disgraceful. For a country that is looking to evolve and to develop, and for crying out loud, to get out of the communion of third world country and begin to enter into emerging economy, our country must begin to spend a better chunk of the budget on education. How can we teach people to be great leaders and they are not educated? That is where the work still lies. It's amazing when you look at the budget every time, the amount spent on education, the amount spent. It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. So I agree with that person. Our past leaders have failed, but we have work to do.
Just goes to show our value system,
Very true. Very true. Very true. What we value.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. If I had known, I would have gone, because I know leadership is something you're very passionate about.
I am.
Was it that said,
you need to
all you need for evil men to thrive is for good men to do nothing. Yeah. And I know, because just for our viewers to know, I know that leadership is something you're passionate about. I know that's something you're interested in. So our viewers will be surprised if in a few years you see a billboard somewhere, we say a flyer somewhere. By the way, I'm running the campaign, so all of you will be. The time for you to vote. We'll see.
Yeah, okay. And the brand architect is going to be in the forefront of it. Don't worry.
Thank you very much for that insight. And this is just from from our past sessions. So let's try and dive into today's session. I have two basic questions, but as usual, I'm sure that other things would pick up from there, would spring up from there. So as I was preparing for this session, I was talking to people, I was talking to my friends. Someone said that I said, she said, seasons. This season is not the end. And it was somewhat like a joke. But I was like, what you said is actually just profound. Everybody's saying they support your PCA. I sure should not get this thing started. Everybody's saying we'll have your vote, you have my vote, they're giving us thumbs up. PCA, I think let's take this.
Right. You have my vote. Okay. But all the people will
support. Yes, I think we have enough votes. All right. Yes, I think we might have enough votes.
Mr. Moyo, Mr. Femi Moyo. Are you sure you are going to come and vote?
Let's count these votes. I think we might have enough votes for you to.
But I need to put this. I need to put this in for people that are listening, and was part of what I discussed with the gentleman I was speaking with on Saturday. So, Brother Femi, you want to hear this? I had an experience when I was in last February during the election, during the election, and we're voting. I had an experience, and it was an awakening, Apostle. The Nigerian population, it's so amazing. We have about 60% or more of youths in a country of about 200 million people. That is in itself is amazing. Amazing. In any nation, in any currency, that's an amazing statistic. So the drive was with the youth population that we have. It's disgraceful that we have the leaders that we have right now. And I say that clearly. You know why? And this was what I saw, Apostle. I went to vote. The polling station that I went to, not too far from my place in Ibadan. I got there 9:30. INEC came about 2:30. Then all the drama of putting up the names, blah 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 blah, that went on for about almost 2 hours. We sat down there. We were waiting. We started to vote about after 3 thereabout. After we got there at 9:45 in the morning. Now this is where I'm going to cut the chase. We started to vote. We finished voting at some point about close to 7. Then we started counting the vote. But this was the awakening, Apostle. I counted the number of youths that were in that polling station. The people that were there that day were in the thousands. I counted the number of youths, from age 20 to even 30, 40, thereabout. I can physically count them with my fingers. The chunk of the people that were there that day were your average illiterates. That they sat there from morning till they finished counting the votes in the night. It was an awake, and I sat down there that day after months of arguing with friends, building up a profile with arguments that, hey, we can drive a change. We have the population, the youth population, to drive out the old leaders that Femi said are failed. But where were the youth to come out to vote? We're making a lot of noise on social media. We say all sorts. We believe we can do better. We believe we shout a lot. We all kinds of drama on social media. They were not there. They don't turn up to vote. Nobody. They don't want to wait there. I saw a few people come and go. But those illiterate people that they've been told that, vote for this person and that person, they don't know who the person is. They don't know if he's going to perform. They sat down there. They were the ones that were there. If I got there from morning till evening, they were there. So tell me somebody paid them. They were there.
So that just goes to underscore the points that people make, that people deserve the leaders they get, and people get the leaders they deserve. It just goes to underscore that.
Like you rightly said, nobody is doing anything.
Someone said
I can
Nigerian youth
sit
are keyboard
here,
warriors.
I can sit here, sir, and say all these things that I'm saying. I mean, people that know me know I'm very passionate about good governance. I flew down to go and vote.
To make your vote count.
I purposely went because of that. Because the question is, hey, let me put my heart to where, let me put my money to where my heart is. And it was an awakening. And after the election, I sat down with friends and there was laughter. The guys on the ground told me, we told you. We told you that the people that should vote for change and that should effect a change are not doing anything.
They're not ready. They're not ready. Wow. Someone says that Nigerian youths are keyboard warriors. I totally agree. You see us on social media. That's where we find your vote.
Yes.
Go outside and vote. No. Go outside and make a change. No. Even in you. And I believe that change will begin at home. It's like, Mr. Femi said that charity begins at home. At home. I'm a leader in my home. I'm the governor of my home. I'm the president of my home. How am I administering, how am I doing my administration at home? Before I go and say I want to lead 200 million people, have I led 3 people right? My wife and my 2 daughters. Have doing the right thing. And I totally agree with you. So if you start with those little issues before you can now go, and I totally agree with you with that solution that you propose, and it's something that we should look at, because I also know that people in government, that orientation school for anyone that wants to vie for a position, the moment you are declared the winner of that election, you must go through that orientation school.
Yes.
Which is that time you're not supposed to training. You're advised, you're informed, you're educated about the position, the role you're about, which you're expected to have done anyway. So let's say that you have not done it. Now we'll now help you. We'll give you research, we'll give you history, we'll give you information, we'll give you communication, we'll give you tips, strategies for the position you're about to take. I think that's actually amazing.
Yes, let there be an orientation. Let there be an exam. Let everybody pass a basic governance exam. What is governance? What is economy? Let us put them to test and let us see, and let them publish the results. They don't have a clue. They just get in there and they are just collecting funds, having no clue about what governance is. No clue whatsoever. Let them do an exam, a basic exam. Let the basic exam be set for them. We are going to be paying them. Don't we pay them? Absolutely. We pay them. Don't go on strike that you're not getting paid. So let them write an exam on governance. Let them write an exam. Let them, if you want to go back then the next 4 years, write another one.
Another one. Absolutely.
Fresh course.
Exactly. I totally agree with you, sir. That's a fantastic idea. So, sir, it's something we should think about, because again, like you said, we can stay here and talk from here till our mouths bleed, but we need to start taking action. So this is an action point that I'm going to follow up with you on.
Yes.
Then we propose and see, because it starts with one man. It starts with one man deciding that, I want to make a change, and then we start to see the change that we so desire.
I wrote some proposals when the last president was there. I sent some proposals across, which I believe will have been fantastic. Will have been fantastic all across board. And what I was proposing then also was more like a training, a kind of a training system across board, like trained in the places where they are, and we put it up there. I don't know if somebody sat on those proposals. But these were proposals that would effect a positive change. So we'll see. We are not relenting. We'll continue to push.
Absolutely not. Okay, interesting. So you didn't quite answer the question. So someone had said to me that also this season not the end. That you guys are still. Like I said, it was a joke. But again, are there times in our life where where our seasons end? Where we start going. Where the seasons sort of cease, and we just start to float, and then we're out of seasons. Is that a possibility?
Maybe it would be a good thing. I'm going to try and answer it as much as I understand the question, but I will also want you to do something, Apostle. I want you to go back to that person, and I sincerely want you to engage the person. That what exactly do you have in mind when you said that? What exactly do you have in mind? And as touching seasons, our life is a continuum of seasons. And like we have discussed in the past few episodes that we've had together, and even outside of the broadcast, our life is a continuum of seasons. This year is a season. The month your next birthday, another season starts. Because your another year has been added to you. And the truth is, you've never been in that age before. You were in a previous age. So you are getting into a new age. You have 2 daughters. When your first daughter came was a season, right? There were 3 of you, right? You had a budget for 3 people. Your life was revolved around 3 of you. Now, princess number 2 has come. You now have 4 people in consideration. That's a different season. So a season is a beginning of a portion, a beginning of a period, a beginning of a circumstance, a beginning of a change in our lives. It could be anything whatsoever. A new job is a new season, right? A new relationship is a new season because that person was not there before. So the person is there now. You have another person to consider, okay? A raise is a new season for you because now you have perhaps much more at your disposal that you did not have before. So now, what do you do with it? That's a new season. So every time a scenario changes, a new change comes, a new relationship, a new circumstance is a new season. So the answer to that person is that there can never be end of seasons. The only people that experience end of season are people that pass away. Because once they pass away, that's it, it's over. But as long as we are still living, sir, tomorrow a new season can start for you. A new client comes to Brand Architecture Conglomerate. A new client. When the new client comes, perhaps you may need to recruit more staff. You may need to take on more, more people to be able to execute your project. That is a new season. So seasons is pretty much an ending in our life. It's always, our life revolves around seasons all the time. This year is a new season. It's a season for all of us. There's so many things that we've learned. There are things that we're still learning. There are things we're adjusting to, and things that we have now experienced, and it's informing what we are now doing. So we find ourselves in a new season. There's so many things that we never really used to consider that is now in consideration because we found ourselves in a new season. We found ourselves in a new season. Going back to, having physical church now is a completely new season. We just walk to church, we high five ourselves, we just get on with it. But now it's all different. Now we're talking social distancing. It's a new season. Completely. We are so conscious of that now. And that was not in the equation before. It's a new season completely. You and I were watching, we are watching our team play the other day. Like I say to people that I listen, I pick up things that perhaps some other people would think is trivial. But when they were interviewing some of the players, one guy said particularly that as much as they enjoyed winning the match and the cup and all that, but he says without the fans, it was not the same.
Exactly the same.
So wow, say they had to adapt to that. Not having fans there. Some will woo them, some will applaud them, but that is part of what makes the game. That not having that there, they felt the void. That wow, it was a new experience. I heard that, and as soon as I heard that, I said seasons.
Absolutely.
That's a new experience. The guy particularly mentioned that. So even if some were going to boo them, some were going to applaud them, but that is part of the pump and the joy and the euphoria of the game. That was not there.
That's amazing. I'm going to pick out 2 things from what you just said. So what you just said about, so they're your fans. Some will boo you, some will applaud you, but they're all trying to push you forward. So in our lives, you go through a season in your life where people that should be cheering you will be booing you. And at the time in your life, when those people,
God bless you, sir.
But they're all moving you forward. I have another friend of mine on the program that is also a fan of our club. Let's not throw it in their face. I'm sure you understand what we're saying. There are times when we talk about the club and we just drag everybody down. We just insult our coach. But it's all because we want them to move forward. You know, so there are times in our lives where it looks like everybody around you is bullying you. It's a season of life, and you must pick out the lessons from those bulls and say, you know what, where is this bull taking me? And then the other thing he talks about is adapting. I have that interesting story that, you know, I shared with you earlier, you know, adapting. And that story has been, you know, it's been viral over the past couple of weeks, you know, about the Choluteca Bridge. You know, this bridge was built in Honduras. Between 1935 and 1997, you know, of about 2 years. It was built by the United States Army Corps of Engineers, you know, one of the best engineering construction companies in the world, with another, you know, country, I think, in Hong Kong or something like that. You know, they built Japan. Fantastic bridge, the longest bridge in the city, 300 meters long. You know, it was called the Bridge of the Rising Sun. You know, it was actually 448 meters long. It was a massive bridge. They used the best, you know, materials you could think of in the world. You know, because, you know, Honduras, you know.
All right.
Somebody in the comments is trying to knock our club because we beat their team. Sorry, so that just so, you know, the best material.
Next time they will try.
You know, so this was the best materials, and it stood the test. You know, it was a beautiful, fantastic bridge. You know, it was built across the river. You know, and then people just started traveling across the bridge because, you know, Honduras, they have the worst rains in the world. You know, so one with this bridge, they built it. Then, in sometime around the 1990s, you know, there was a rain. There was this, you know, unprecedented rain that gave up to like maybe, you know, 5 inches. And then what happened is that this bridge that they built, this powerful bridge, the water that passed underneath the bridge now changed its course and now ran parallel to the bridge. So this bridge, because the bridge was so powerful, this rain had, you know, cleared out a lot of houses, you know, a lot of lives were lost, a lot of, you know, structures were lost. We're talking 75 inches of rain. You know. So, but this bridge stood the test of time. It stood that rain. But unfortunately, there was a little problem. There was a small problem, small in quotes. So this bridge that passed over this water, unfortunately, this water, because of the rain, now changed its course.
That's right.
And then the water now became parallel with the bridge. So this bridge became a powerful, wonderful, you know, beautiful bridge to nowhere. Pretty much. So my question is, there are times in life we'll go through these things. You know, I've prepared for this season of my life. I've done everything that could be done. I've built a powerful system. I've built this, built that. I've invested money. I've done this, I've done that, and I've built this powerful, you know, Choluteca. For a season in time, again, people enjoyed it. They traveled fast. They admired the bridge. They took pictures. Finally, our problems are over. Until the thing, you know, happens. You know, I mean, and then this powerful bridge, this beautiful bridge, becomes a bridge to nowhere. What do you do in that type of situation and that type of season of our lives?
Amazing. I mean, like you're saying, very amazing story. And 2 things I want to pick out of what you've just said, Apostle. And that is that something led to the bridge being built. You and I know that the reason why the bridge was built, it was meant to be a connector, isn't it? It was meant to be a connector from one end to another end of that river. That was the aim. That was the purpose. So we all set out in life. I'm going this way. I'm going that way. Started this because to achieve that. And so we always have an aim. We have an objective. We have a plan. We have a goal. We have a desire. And really and truly, this amazing story of this Cholitika bridge, I believe was just that. There was a reason why a lot of money was invested, and a company was brought in to come and consult and do that and all the things that I read. And then this same dream, this same bridge, the moment it was built, I'm told, not quite a year, isn't it? Then that Hurricane Mitch struck.
Yes.
So that begins to be the answer to what we're trying to talk about. As much as the plan was in place, as much as the money was put in, and the amount of people that had to walk, the bridge being built, you can imagine all that was put into it. But the moment that was done, the bridge was commissioned, and then the hurricane struck. No one saw that coming. So there are times in life that things happen that we did not expect. The unexpected will happen. What you did not plan for may take place. And it leads us to this. It leads us to the fact that we must continue to build up ourselves to a place where we understand that, in everything in life, for us that have chosen to believe, nothing is completely constant with man. Change can come at any point in time. Circumstance can come. Age begins to kick in. The way you were strong before, you are no longer strong like that. What you could do before, you can no longer do it. So we need to come to a place where we can reason and we can understand that change will come. Circumstance will change. People that before, they don't seem to sway to come your way the way you used to. The clients that you had before, maybe you don't have as much clients again. Like we're saying, it could be a season. So what do? We need to put ourselves in the frame of mind that things will happen. And when those things do happen, we need to strengthen ourselves in that understanding that, I'm still here. And because I'm still here, there is something that is beyond this season. I've come to understand that so strongly, Apostle, that no matter what today is, my season can change tomorrow. And I've configured my mind in such a way that I believe that so much. That today can be like this, tomorrow is a different ballgame. So I shared a message some time ago. I call it the mystery of tomorrow. I call it the mystery of tomorrow because the difference between your change into tomorrow is just in the mystery of that which is ahead of you. So, and look at what happened. The course of the river changed. So they had to now they went back to the drawing board. So what do we now do? What do we do now to make the bridge effective, even though this has now happened? Other than that, the bridge to nowhere would just be sitting there. So they had to detour. They had to work on what are we now going to do to make it effective. So there are times that, we are not able to manufacture carrier bags again. Can we begin to manufacture plastic? So we can begin to cry wolf from tomorrow. Carrier bag is not, is not selling anymore. We are losing investment, and there's a reason for that. Are there much more producers in the market? Is there a reason why that is happening? What else can we do? We need to have a shift mentality that, this has happened and it has happened. There is something else that I can do. David says something in Psalm 27, I believe, verse 13. He said, I would have fainted. David said, I would have fainted except I choose to believe that God is. I would have fainted except I choose to believe that, no, there's a God in heaven that can still lift up my head. So I can be there and I will have fainted, but I switched to believe. I switched to, there's a place that exists, is a place of belief. I switched to that place and I was able to hold on. I was able to trust. I was able to believe, and I moved on. So that is one thing that we must continue to program ourselves. We must encourage ourselves, because rightfully so, we might find ourselves in that place and you are not able to encourage yourself like David did. You are not able to strengthen yourself. We must surround ourselves with such people that can say, you know what, switch. Switch. And most times that is the place where we are stuck. There's some people that are still stuck in a particular place, and we need to understand that there must be a switch. Another example before I let you go on. 1 Kings 19. Elijah had walked with God so much. God had done amazing things with Elijah. He had called fire down from above. He had killed the prophets of Baal. He told the woman of Zarephath that she will not die. He had done amazing things. And then in 1 Kings chapter 19, the man wanted to commit suicide. He was tired, isn't it? Then God said, I want to speak to you. And his Bible says, he ran to the earthquake. God was not there. He ran to the fire. God was not there. He ran to the wind. God was not there. Until he got to the small, still voice. That's a major lesson that we need to be teaching in coaching classes. I tell you, Apostle, there are stuff that we can teach in coaching classes that we can do a better job to what coaches are teaching us in the world, and they are getting thousands of dollars. Because Elijah could have been complacent. He could have been so stubborn that this is the way that it has always worked. God will always speak with fire, because the man has just experienced fire. He has just experienced fire. So rightfully so, you can argue it out that, you know what, that is the way of God. That is how God moves. So he will just stay there in the fire. And the man will be heated. Heat will consume him. He will be hot. Smoke will choke him. He will be there. Because he just came down with fire. But he shifted. Once he discerned that God was not there, he shifted. And he found God at the small, still voice. So my answer, sir, is that we must learn and we must adapt to shift, to change. We must adapt.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. See, I can't begin to unpack all the things you've said, so I'm going to try. Because I'm hearing so many things. As you know, because usually as you're speaking, you start to stir up things, and some of things I heard, let me just share with you. So one thing I heard you say, as you're saying, is another word for seasons is actually change. The characteristic of season is actually change. The whole idea, the mystery of seasons is actually change. Because seasons change. That's the primary characteristics of seasons, is that they change. So if change is going to happen, then surely we must adapt. And
very true, sir.
To now think about the origin of seasons, which is our God. Our God designed seasons.
Come on now.
As he teach us change, but he himself does not change.
Come on. Hallelujah.
As you're talking, these things are just, they're just dropping in my mind, and they're just blowing my mind that, it's just so powerful. If you think about the concept of seasons, the concept of change. So God, because, it's like, I tell people that, God created time. So it's the same parallel. God created time, but he's not subject to time. God dwells in eternity, but he created time for us so we can understand morning. So, when he created the beginning of the earth, in the beginning of the earth, morning and afternoon, the first day, that is for man. It's for man's mind to be able to go. Man's mind cannot comprehend eternity. So time and place, I think it's similar to the busy I'm done.
Something just dropped in my spirit as you said that, Apostle. Wow. I think we should just be having, like we said, we should be having our own Tuesday should be our time. Our time. Then we have our guests on Thursday. Something just dropped into my spirit as you were speaking.
Yes, sir.
God created time. and it gives us the opportunity to understand season. And something just dropped in my spirit. Something strong just dropped in my spirit. That God put those things in place so that we can also understand a demarcation, a difference. We can because it seems as if we don't understand that Isaiah 55, but you just dropped it. Because it said that my ways are not your ways. My thoughts are not your thoughts. There is a difference. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so is my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. So the more we see God as not man that looks at time, the more we can approach him and say, you know what, God, I know you can do it anytime. Anytime. You can move anytime. And as long as we can understand and place God as God that can do it at any time, we will begin to experience amazing things. Because we are truly, we are fixated with, oh Lord, this, and our prayer is fixated. Our prayers are sometimes myopic, but when we begin to worship God as God is beyond time, then we know that he can step into any time that we are not confounded him in. So I'm just worshiping that, Lord, you are the God over all seasons, over all times. You are amazing. You are wonderful. But I can also pray like this and say, God, you know, if you don't move today, we're saying to him that if you don't move today, you are saying to him that you are like me and Tolu. So you know that today is the 11th. So because today is the 11th, you need to move. No. We don't worship him in 11th. We worship him above 11th, beyond 11th. We don't even equate him into 11th. We just worship him as God, the creator of all things. And as we do that, he steps into time. So God will not tell you, I'm coming at 2:30. But if you have prayed in the wise that we have done now, it steps into any moment. It steps into any season. So you will see that the prophets of old will always say, according to the time of life. According to the time of life. In other words, they're saying life is God, because God is the giver of life. Right. So according to the time of God.
Bam. PCA. That's so profound. Even for me, I didn't see this coming. As usual, I didn't see this coming. We never prepare for these things. We just
our folks need to know that we just do God. We just allowing him to flow with us.
Yes, as you're talking, three words dropped in my spirit, and I think that's why we should take it up from next week Tuesday. And three words are: don't stand still. Same God that made time stand still, because it doesn't report to time. Time reports to him. So that man said, "Son, stand still," and he did for his sake. So that's why we should take it on from next. I know you have an event you have to go to. It's 7:00. So I think we should take it from here next week. Next week should be constant still. I think that's take from next week. You see, I don't know if you agree with me. But I think that there's something powerful that God wants to, unwrap and unravel.
We are doing something strong. I tell you. Woo, hallelujah. And it's been a joy. I love my sessions with you. I love what God is doing with us. And so let's do something strong. So leading on to next week, we are going to coming your way, friends and family. We want you to talk to your neighbor, talk to your milkman, talk to your butcher, talk to everybody. Let them join us. We have something great happening. There's a ship of inspiration that is moving on the seas. Be part of it. Be part of it.
So as usual, sir, just 1 minute, before our time goes on, just speak a word. You're a man of words, and the powerful word. Just speak a word in the lives of everyone that is watching as a form of closing.
All right. Amen. Woo. Amen. I want to appreciate Mr. Femi. He has really stood out today in the people that are our audience. himself and PAA. I don't know who will win the prize for today. Thank you for championing what we are doing.
PAA and Mr. Femi to come together and just create another fireworks.
They've been firing on all cylinders. And also, I think Sister Lola too has been firing on all cylinders. God bless all of you. You know, we started by talking about leadership. We're talking about effecting a change. We talked about, and I think also, Mr. Femi mentioned that we start from where we are. We start from our home front. We start from encouraging leaders, bringing up leaders, followers, like you said, apostles that will be leaders. So we can't encourage that enough. Everyone that has been with us this evening, please, we beg of you. We know that there are people from different countries, people from Nigeria, people from different parts of the world watching us on all these platforms. Please effect a change wherever you are. For me, leadership should be legacy. Anyone that has an opportunity to lead must have in their mind legacy. What will I do differently? I don't just want to be there. I must do something that will be remembered. And if we think legacy, we will be accountable. We will even check and balance ourselves. So I can't encourage you enough. Whatever you do, you run a company, think legacy. If you're in your home, think legacy everywhere you are. So that's what I will encourage everybody that is listening with us. And then we talked about seasons. We've been able to conclude today, myself and Apostle, that seasons is change. Every single day, what happens to us in seasons. So there can be no end in seasons. Our prayer this evening for you, from all of us, myself, Apostle, and all of us on season sets, is that may God continue to strengthen you every single day so that you will enter into every season and you'll be able